economy. And they don't want to change that up. And I think that's not something that we had projected.
I also think you can't underestimate the power that the president has when he lands in these states. And we've seen him travel just recently in the last few days, a number of states a day. You look at states like Tennessee and Indiana where Republicans are doing better than people were expecting. And I think what he does is he riles up his base. He reminds them why he won and why he needs people on his team to fulfill his agenda. So I think it's more effective when he's on the ground there bringing the candidates on stage than people give him credit for.
Terry Moran, Stephanie also hit on a point that perhaps we haven't talked about enough tonight. The economy. The economy is going absolute gangbusters right now. That could be working for Republicans.
It usually would, and we were distracted to some degree by what Donald Trump shifted the debate to on immigration. But one other thing about Donald Trump, he tells a story at these rallies, a story of American greatness that I think a lot of people plug into, and Democrats talk about health care. What's the story they're telling about our country?
And the story, the president is telling a story. It looks like a lot of people are also willing to overlook some of the president's rhetoric, the things that he says that aren't true.
Well, and it is women who we expected to see tonight to be leaving because of that rhetoric. But, you go back to Donald Trump in these rallies, he says, no one knows these crowds like I do, and he is expecting that to reflect itself tonight, these thousands and thousands of people that we've seen in these rallies there.
A lot more vote to count. We'll be right back.
It's Dan Harris up in the skybox as we continue our coverage on ABC News Live. As has been discussed by George and the team, one of the hottest races at this point that people are watching so closely because it is so close. Two big races in the state of Florida, which always seems to get a lot of attention this time of year, every 2 years. And ABC's Whit Johnson, my co-anchor on Weekend GMA, is right there in Tallahassee watching both the governor's race and the Senate race. Whit, what are you hearing and seeing?
Welcome back to a Your Voice, Your Vote 2018 election update. We'll get back to ABC momentarily. Right now, polls have officially closed here in Colorado. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Let's get to the ones we're all watching. Let's start with the governor's race. Start with the 6th Congressional District. Incumbent Mike Kaufman, first-time candidate Democrat Jason Crow, and right now the Democrat with, it says 65% reporting. I'm not sure that's correct. That seems a little high. Nonetheless, any percentage we've seen, we do have Crow with that percentage lead right now.
And we want to get to the race for governor right now, where this has been a close race all along, but Jared Polis right now showing at 54% to Walker Stapleton's 42%, and this one says 34% of the precincts reporting. We're working to get these numbers cleared up, but this is the latest number that we have right now.
Yeah, that is the correct percentage with whatever a percentage is reporting, 54-42. Let's get over to our chief investigative reporter, Tony Kovaleski, doing a political duty tonight, and he joins us live. Tony?
What it looks like here. We've got a camera down the way to give you some insight, but in just the last half hour, a lot more people showing up. Clearly, Democrats expecting a celebration here. The polls showing that early on. Now that things have closed, we're going to start getting the results. We expect statements from the podium as the night develops. I've heard from some political insiders that we could have some sort of final decision on the governor's race by 8 or 8:30. We're watching closely. It's starting to get very interesting here. We will keep you posted throughout the night as Democrats show up for what they believe will be a statewide celebration. Live at Democratic voting headquarters, I'm Tony Kovaleski. And Shannon?
Quite a crowd that has gathered out there. We also have Jacqueline Allen out at Republican headquarters tonight.
So what's the mood there at coming up on 7:30, Jacqueline?
The mood is, it's still early. We still don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm joined right now by Colorado State GOP Party Chair, Jeff Hayes. Jeff, what do you think about the numbers that we're seeing right now?
It's still early. We don't know which precincts, which counties are really fully reported yet, so it's too early to project anything. But I'm really grateful to the people of Colorado. So many people have participated in this election. It just makes me feel so good about the energy that people feel about their state. I mean, the level of engagement is just encouraging.
It will be interesting interesting to see. I just talked to a first-time midterm voter right here who said that because of things going on in this country, this was her first time to vote. It will be interesting to see, does the message that has been coming out from the Republican Party resonate with voters?
Well, we certainly hope so, and this is definitely, it's a definite test of that messaging as it resonates throughout Colorado. We'll see.
All right, thank you.
We're still optimistic, though.
All right, thank you so much for talking to us. Republican Party Chair Jeff Hayes, we appreciate that. Again, cautiously optimistic still here, even as we're starting to see these early numbers come in. They predict this could still be a very long night, and we will be waiting right until the end to see what actually happens. Reporting live at Republican Party headquarters, Jacqueline Allen, Denver 7.
All right, Jacqueline, thank you very much for that.
Still waiting on a whole lot of numbers to come in because it is still very early, but we are watching all the numbers for you as we look at some of the numbers from the congressional races. We show Diana DeGette in the lead, 71 to 26%. I do believe we have the numbers for Proposition 112.
That's right. It's been so heavily funded, as you know. It's just been all over our television sets. So right now, this is the setback amendment, 2,500 feet from homes or schools for new oil and gas development. So right now, it is going down in flames. Now, again, this is pretty early, but that's not an even close vote right now as we move on to 73.
Amendment 73, the income tax increase for schools. This one also appears to be going down, but this is a lot closer than I suspect a lot of people suspected. 412,000 to 352,000, with 31% of the precincts in right now.
So I know a lot of you are watching the 6th Congressional District, the Kaufman-Crow. At last check, Crow is up 54 to 43%, and then there it is right there. And then, of course, the governor's race right now is the Democrat is ahead right there.
We will continue our coverage right here on Denver 7.
Welcome back to Denver 7's election coverage. We have an esteemed panel, both of two folks here. We got a Republican and a Democrat talking about this supposed blue wave. We're getting some numbers now to talk about as well. And are you feeling pretty confident now as a Democrat, Chrisanne?
Well, it's early, but look, the early returns are looking very, very good. Unaffiliated have also outnumbered the number of Republicans who have voted in this election, and I suspect that unaffiliateds are going to break with Democrats. Unaffiliateds have not been sold by the Trump agenda. The divisiveness that has been coming out of Washington, D.C., a tax package that has benefited those at the top more than hardworking Coloradans. And so I think that things are looking good, but it's early still.
Okay, and that's, of course, the Democratic perspective. Amy, I imagine you have probably a different take on what you're seeing.
Well, we saw Jeff Flake earlier, and still, not a huge crowd at Republican headquarters either tonight.
I think again, historically, it's going to go back and forth. It's not about Trump divisiveness any more than it was about Obama's Obamacare and Obama's divisiveness policy. So I'm not there on that. Where I am, however, is this state voted for Hillary, and I think you are going to see I think you're going to see wide sweeps. Now, El Paso hasn't come in. I think it still could tighten up. I'm already seeing numbers tighten on the Attorney General race, and I think we still have a night ahead of us. And so.
But you mentioned Obamacare, and that is a deciding issue for a whole lot of people right now, not just in Colorado, but all across the country. Do you think that that's one of the issues that brought voters out?
Absolutely. And look at the extreme agenda that Trump has tried to move forward in Washington, D.C. You know, he tried to get rid of Obamacare ultimately, and he couldn't do it when Republicans were in control of both the House and of the Senate. And why is that? Because there are so many hardworking families across this country that depend on Obamacare to be able to have access to health care.
It's become a number one issue for so many families.
There's no doubt. And we have more to do in this state. We have to do more to make sure that everyone has access to affordable health care, particularly in our rural areas. But it is the difference between life and death for so many families. Is it perfect? No. There's more work to do. But my goodness, when we think about the terrible issues that families were faced with, like bankruptcy, when they didn't have the ability to be able to have access to health care prior to Obamacare, there's no doubt that took our state, our country in the right direction, and we need to continue to move forward to make sure everyone, regardless of background, has access to affordable care.
But I think a lot of people think that the Obamacare itself has a lot of moving parts that aren't working. So there, is that
yes,
what you're thinking?
Of course there is. And so in 2010, it's what cost you 676 seats across America, and it took 26 governorships, and you lost profoundly. And most of that was over Obamacare and many of the onerous rules. Do we have work to do in this state? I think we absolutely do. But this economy is roaring, not because of Obama, but because Donald Trump stepped up and frankly has made the economy roar. And so does that mean that more African Americans are working in America? Yes. Are more Hispanic and people working in the United States? You bet. But I'm not sure. Again, we're all watching the stock market. And I see nationally, Dems aren't taking the sweep that they thought they would. I don't know. I think we have a lot to wait for and see tonight.
Except that in some of the returns or the exit polls, we have seen that more women have turned out, and yes,
more Democratic women have turned out. You're right.
Okay, you're right.
You're right.
But because people feel offended,
under attack.
Yes, and so the economy is one thing, but I think that there are other passions that have come up because of.
I think for both men and for women, and I think that that's to be expected. I think you're going to see more Democratic women turn out. You're seeing more Republican men turn out. I think again the story tonight's going to be the independent under 45. I think they're leaning Democrat, but they're not voting monolithically.
Well, we know that Jared Polis right now is leading 54 to 42%, and those, again, 34% of the precincts in for the moment.
And we just saw a picture of a pregnant woman voting, which is very symbolic of what we're seeing across the country right now. Right now, even though the polls have closed, she was still in there voting now. So,
All right, we're going to go out to Jennifer Kowaleski, who is with the 112 folks right now. So, Jen, what are you hearing out there?
Yeah, Ann and Shannon, I'm joined here with Ann Lee Foster. She is one of the organizers with Colorado Rising, who is the group that is behind Prop 112. Initial numbers are not in your favor right now. How confident are you guys that will turn around? And just talk about the reason why you guys put this on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, it's super early on, so we'll wait for the rest of the numbers to come in before we really start to think about what the results are going to end up being like. We're very confident. We put on a really, really hard fight up against $43 million to $1 million, and we've worked so hard. We're just waiting to see what the results are. And in terms of why we decided to do this is really the culmination of 7 years of efforts on behalf of Colorado citizens to deal with oil and gas industry coming closer and closer to their homes, schools, playgrounds, and waterways. And the politicians have failed to do anything. So so the people of Colorado decided to use the ballot initiative process to run their own law and make their own protections.
You guys obviously were outspent significantly. You talked about it. Everybody's seen the commercials out there, but not necessarily for yes on 112. How have you guys worked to overcome that, and how do you think you'll be able to be successful with $30 million plus spent trying to defeat this measure?
Yeah, we have thousands of volunteers that have worked their tails off to get the word out, knock doors, make phone calls, and let people know why Colorado needs safer setbacks and why we need a yes on 112 vote. We've also had a large digital campaign, and this is the grassroots. This is we knew that we were going to be outspent when we got into this, but we knew that we also had the will and the determination and the people power to put on a really good fight.
Last question. A lot of people are saying that if 112 were to pass, that this could set a national precedent for fracking regulations across the country. Is that anything to do with why you guys put this forward, and do you hope that it could maybe help other states and other communities who may be dealing with this?
If this initiative inspires other communities to stand up to corporate power and corporate corruption, that really excites us, but our main concern is protecting Colorado communities right here.
Just one last question I think we do have to address. The issue of this special session. We had Governor Hickenlooper on our air a couple hours ago, and he said that he will, if 112 passes, that it is the will of the people, but there has been a lot of talk about lawmakers can change Prop 112 because it is a state statute. How do you feel about that, and what is your comment about that?
I think to call a special session is reckless, and it's dangerous for democracy. I think it sets a very dangerous precedent for self-governance and for our democracy in general. We've spoken with several representatives who have said that they would absolutely not honor a special session, that they would want to always uphold the will of the people. And we will continue to fight with all the momentum that we've built to protect 112.
Thank you so much, Anley. We have to wrap up here, but we are continuing. Mood is still positive here. We're continuing to watch these numbers as they come in. We will bring you the very latest, but for now we are live in Denver. I'm Jennifer Kovaleski for Denver 7.
All right, Jen, thank you very much. We do have some results on one of a couple of races. In fact, we're just hearing from ABC News now that they are calling the governor's race right now for Jared Polis. That is news just in. So Jared Polis, the newly elected governor of Colorado. We are also getting word that the race in the 5th Congressional District, Doug Lamborn, has retained his seat. That was a heavily favored Republican district, so not a surprise there to have Doug Lamborn. But again, ABC News.
And the big news that you just said, Jared Polis is now appears to be our new governor. Let's check it out with Liz Gilardi, who's standing by with Senator Michael Bennet at Democratic headquarters. Liz, I imagine pretty happy group of folks out there.
Seeing as these numbers start to come in, wondering maybe if Democrats are going to take control of some key seats?
Well, we obviously have a long way to go, but the preliminary numbers look very, very good for Jared Polis, the entire Democratic ticket, and I think it's a real testament to the positive campaign that Jared Polis ran, that the other Democrats ran, and I also think it's a reaction in Colorado to politics in Washington that they don't really like, and they'd rather see us move forward with an agenda that brings us together as a state of Colorado. We're a state that's a third Democratic, a third Republican, a third Independent. I think it's very important for anybody who's in a statewide elected position to remember that, because not everybody agrees on everything, but they do want us to work together, and I think tonight they voted for candidates that ran on that kind of a program, and we're going to see the results pretty soon.
And we're seeing such a high turnout as well, especially among those independent voters that you mentioned.
It's a very high turnout. I was interested to see numbers as I was coming in tonight that the independent turnout was almost as high as the Democrats and Republicans. That really is a statement about how involved people wanted to be this time. And it's also a testament to the people in this room and the people that are in wherever the Republicans are meeting, because these are the folks that went out and knocked on doors, made phone calls, and told people how important it was for all of us to vote. And I'm also happy to see that there seems to be a very large youth vote tonight, and it's nice to see young people voting because these elections in many ways are much more important to them than to anybody else. They're going to be here to inherit the mess we leave if we don't fix it.
What do you think the state looks like under Jared Polis's leadership?
I think that I've known him for 20 years. We've worked hard together on education issues in particular. I'm very interested in his leadership there. Our state, it's very hard for people that teach in Colorado to afford to live in Colorado. There are many districts that pay a starting salary of $32,000. There are districts that have gone to a 4-day school week in Pueblo and Brighton, which I don't think is good for the kids in those communities because we don't have any money invested in public education. And we can inherit people because of the beautiful state that we live, but we really have to do more to grow our own. So I expect to see him deliver on that. I think he's going to work hard to figure out how to cover more people with health care in our state. And I also think we're going to see Colorado make the contribution that it should make to ensuring that we deal with climate change. So those are 3 areas that I expect him to lead.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's nice to see you, and let's see what happens tonight.
All right, okay, we'll be out here live throughout the night. We'll continue to bring you more coverage. Reporting live, Liz Gilardi, Denver 7.
Liz Gilardi with Senator Michael Bennet, a very happy Democratic headquarters. We just found out that Jared Polis is the new governor of the state of Colorado.
And we still have so many races still undecided here in Colorado. We're going to take a break, let you go back to ABC programming, and continue here on Denver 7.
If he doesn't, that may be another one of those seats like CD7 in New Jersey where it's going to show that's where they came up short.
Stephanie Carter, this has become a battle of attrition for the House.
Well, I do want to remind everybody that we have most of the country out, and there are a lot of House seats out there that are extremely competitive that are now going to start to come in. We're starting to see Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Democrats are still favored to win the House. So I want us to take a deep breath on this. However, it is much harder than anybody thought.
I love when my friends from the Democratic Party are saying it's going to be a long night. That's really good for Republicans, George.
Let's talk to Eva Pilgrim in Philadelphia. Eva.
George, yeah, there's a real opportunity for Democrats here in Pennsylvania. We've seen those 2 returns come in, but there could be as many as 6 seats really up for grabs for Democrats here in the state of Pennsylvania. It's because of that redistricting. These districts look completely different than they did before, and the Democratic Party telling us before this night that they really, really looked at these districts and actively recruited candidates from these areas with real roots from these areas to run in this area so that they could potentially win these 6 seats. If they could get 6 seats in Pennsylvania, that would put a real dent in that 23 that they need to make this flip. The other big story here in Pennsylvania, it's a big night for women. We have seen already Mary Gay Scanlon win. There are potentially 3 other women from Pennsylvania that
All right, welcome back. Your voice, your vote now gets fun. We get some actual results, and we're going to start with 6th congressional race. And I don't know if this is a surprise or not, but there you go. First-time candidate and Democrat Jason Crow has been called to win this race.
Mike Hoffman has held this seat since 2008. It was always a very close race in that district that he's worked very hard to retain over the years. But in this case tonight, Jason Crow came out the winner. ABC News just called that race here just moments ago here on Denver 7.
And that is the only race here in Colorado that could flip parties. And here's the other big headline right now. Another race has been called. ABC News calls Jared Polis, the Democrat, fends off Walker Stapleton, the Republican, in the governor's mansion race there.
And so we have Denver 7 investigator Tony Kovaleski, who has been at Democratic headquarters all night, and this is so far the place to be, Tony.
Well, and Shannon, it is a packed house. You can see it behind me. The crowd here has not been told that ABC News made that call. We did expect, talking to political insiders on both sides of the aisle, that the race would be called around 7:45, and it's really not a surprise. When you look at those numbers, here's why it's being called. The 52 to 45% lead that Polis has over Stapleton speaks to the fact that there's probably going to be more Democratic numbers coming in throughout the day. Insiders told us and told me that for Walker Stapleton to have a chance, when that first drop came out of ballots from the votes in the past several days, that he had to have as much as a 5% lead. The fact that he's trailing by 7% this early makes it clear that it's too much to overcome. It makes it clear that that's why ABC and others are calling it for Jared Polis. We're waiting on him, obviously, to come down. Crowd here is still not aware, but again, not a surprise when those early numbers came out and Jared Polis had a really solid lead by 7 points with more than 50% of the vote being counted. That sends a message that Jared Polis will be our next governor, and it's not a surprise. All the polls had said Polis would win anywhere from 7 to 8% in this race. The other races, obviously the Attorney General race, that's expected to be much closer. We're going to watch that, but here at Democratic headquarters for election night, reaction waiting to come in, but not a surprise, Ann and Shannon, with the call by ABC News. Reporting live, I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski. Back to you guys.
All right, Tony, thank you. So, stays in the hands of the Democrats. The governor's office goes from John Hickenlooper now to former Congressman Jared Polis.
And so far as we look at all of these statewide races, it does seem that the Democrats are leading at this point, but we're not ready to call any of the other races right now, except for the 6th Congressional District, where Jason Crow has been declared the winner. So let's get to Jace with more on the Crow camp.
Guys, you know what? It wasn't even 8 o'clock yet when the people who were here were watching these television monitors here, and it, unexpected to many people, came up with what you're seeing right there, 53% to 45%. The crowd right now just seeing our broadcast here, seeing it come up on television, and they are once again energized, screaming, yelling here. This crowd is absolutely ecstatic right here, as you would expect. This is what they have been waiting for. As I was talking to many of them, they were not expecting that this would happen really so early here, but this is a call that ABC was able to make, and you can hear them cheering right now. Jason, again, it's no secret they're watching our broadcast, so they're seeing us, and they're saying this to our cameras as they're facing our direction. As we're waiting for him to come out and speak, this was a race that people really characterized as, who can you trust? Can you trust Jason Crow, or can you trust Mike Hoffman? And in Colorado, it is very clear tonight that Jason Crow voters have selected him. We're going to wait for him to continue to come out here, to come out and speak. We know he's back in a hotel room now. We were told that as soon as this race was called, he would come out, so we're expecting him at any minute right now. Guys, back to you.
Okay, we will get back to you, Jace Larson. Thank you for that.
So, no surprise really, because Mike Hoffman lost the support of the RNCC, lost support of a group that backs Paul Ryan.
And big money went to Jason Crow as well, his campaign.
More than $5 million. Let's go out to the other side. Jason Grenauer is with the Republicans, and I'm guessing by the silence, it's a little grimmer mood where you are, Jason.
It absolutely is. There's a member of the state Republican Party up at the podium right now delivering some of the early results to the members here at this watch party. They have not specifically been telling them the news that ABC has called both of the major races on behalf of the Democrats, Jared Polis and Jason Crow. We have seen Walker Stapleton in the other room. He's kind of been held down in the VIP room, so he has not spoken to us at this point. They're just starting to announce some of the races that the Republicans are leading Ken Buck and Doug Lamborn at last check. But it is quite the somber scene. This member of the state Republican Party did say it is a long night. It's still not over. There are still votes to be counted here, giving really some early results here. But it is a quiet watch party here as those results are being read. The majority of them not in favor for those two big races, the race for governor where Walker Stapleton appears to have lost, according to that prediction from that call rather from ABC News, as well as the incumbent Republican Mike Hoffman going down to Jason Crow, according to that call from ABC News. It is a quiet party here. We got quiet pretty quickly, but for now we'll send it back to you. We'll continue to stay on top of what happens here.
Yeah, not a lot of party in the grand old party in Colorado. Jason, thank you for that.
All right, we are going to continue our coverage here nonstop on thedenverchannel.com and on all of our platforms. In the meantime, we're going to send you back to ABC News to watch some developments there.
It was a very localized race, and it's a great win.
And of course, Colorado always an important state in presidential elections as well. Let's dive into the House a little bit more right now. I want to look at the raw vote coming in from the state of Pennsylvania. There you see Chrissy Houlihan running in District 6 up against Greg McCauley. Martha, I keep coming back to the same thing.
And there's
Another
a
Air
reason.
Force veteran.
Another veteran with a very strong showing here. Let me give you a couple of things here. There are about 200 military veterans running for Congress. Incumbents 63, Republicans 102, Democrats 62, male 188, female 12. Chrissy Houlihan is one of those 12.
Donna Brazile, you campaigned for?
Campaign. I went to Paola. No.
Paoli, not Paola.
Okay.
My mother-in-law will yell at me if I let that get wrong. Come on.
Look, Martha said it. She's one of many veterans that's running across the country. She ran on education, healthcare. When I was up there in Pennsylvania, people turned out to support her. She is really one of the brightest stars in the new Democratic horizon.
I talked to her just a couple of weeks ago, and she felt very confident. She was sticking very much to the issues up there, and of course her service.
Of course, this is one the Democrats have to win.
Well, and also to take the big picture of Pennsylvania, we have 6 potential pickups left for Democrats. Right now, we're tracking the Democrats are leading in all 6 of those. One's very, very tight, just a handful of votes, but they are tracking to do very well in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and we've got another one coming in Pennsylvania right now, Pennsylvania 7. Let's take a look. Actually, this is different. We now have a result coming in, and this is from the state of Minnesota, where Democrat Dean Phillips is a projected winner. They're in the 3rd district of Minnesota, defeating the incumbent Congressman Eric Paulson, seeking a 6th term. This is a Republican in a district won by Clinton, so another Clinton district coming back home, Cecilia Vega to the Democrats.
And a Republican that kept his distance from Trump, and we were looking for potentially a lot of women defections in these suburbs there. This is the Twin Cities suburbs, a highly educated district with a long history of electing Republican moderates there.
We were just going to pull up state of Pennsylvania. Let's go back to Pennsylvania right there, where you see Susan Wild up against Marty Norstein. The vote coming in there again. Wide lead so far, but we're not ready to project that. And then next door in the state of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, former Navy pilot, prosecutor, up against the state assemblyman Jay Weber. Mikey Sherrill, bright star, Chris Christie for the Democrats.
That's my congressional district, George. Long held by Rodney Frelinghuysen, who retired. Mikey Sherrill raised more money, $7 million, than any congressional candidate in New Jersey history. I got 3 pieces of mail from her in the last 10 days. So that's how much money she had to spend. Unfortunately, no, George.
It's persuadable.
It didn't work, but she raised an enormous amount of money. Again, a veteran and a former federal prosecutor.
And you brought up Rodney Frelinghuysen. He's kind of really a dying breed in the Northeast, moderate Republicans.
It's unfortunate because Rodney represented that district for a long time. His father before that for many years. And Rodney was a guy who I think really just got tired of all the contentiousness in Washington. He was chairman of Appropriations Committee, and he retired as chairman of Appropriations.
Part of the reason Democrats are going to hunt because of so many retirements. We do have another switch right now. It's from the state of Kansas, red state of Kansas, where Sharice Davids has defeated incumbent Congressman Kevin Yoder, who is seeking a 5th term, a pickup for the Democrats in the state of Kansas. And Stephanie Cutter, actually, let me start out with Cecilia first. Again, just we talk about the range of diversity in the Democratic Party. What a story she is.
Oh, completely. She is openly gay Native American, now making her the very first Native American woman in Congress. And I should say this comes at a time where President Trump is using this phrase repeatedly, Pocahontas. This was a Republican in a district that Clinton narrowly won. And Trump had tweeted for the Republican in there saying that he was strong on crime and borders.
Democrats have picked up 7 seats. They need 23 to take control. We're going to take a break.
coverage here on ABC News Live continues even when George and the team go to a break. I want to start off by pointing out something that my colleague ABC News Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas just put out on our internal email list. He pointed out that this is an evening where whatever side you're on, there is some good news for American democracy, which is thus far there is no evidence of unusual hacking or widespread disinformation on social media. There was
And welcome back to our continuing coverage here on Denver 7. Andrew Heel along with Shannon Ogden. And Coloradans have made some decisions now. An hour now that the polls have closed, we already know that we have elected a new governor and a new Congress member.
That's right. Democrats are having a very good night. Let's start with the top of the ticket here. The race for governor has been called. Former Congressman Jared Polis of Boulder County will be our next governor, taking over for John Hickenlooper. So the Democrats hold on to the big office.
And making big history here in Colorado as the first openly gay elected governor in the country. Looking at the 6th congressional district, this also, this was a very close race, but we see that Jason Crow is now the declared winner, beating Mike Kaufman, who's held the seat. This was veteran versus veteran for this race.
That's right, and it was a lot of money, $8-9 million poured into this, and Jason Crow raised a heck of a lot more than soon-to-be former Congressman Mike Kaufman. Now, we haven't really paid attention to the, we had 13, we're going to do, that's right, second district up in Boulder County.
This is Jared Polis' seat that became vacant, and this is Joe Neguse, who has a resounding lead over Peter Yu. Interesting about these two gentlemen, both immigrants, both wanting this seat in the 2nd congressional district up towards the Boulder area, and it looks like Joe Neguse is on his way to winning that seat.
So you may have writer's cramp after filling out your very long ballot. We had 13 issues, one of them 74. This is the one, if the government does something to devalue your property, you could sue, and it looks like this one is going down pretty handily. The no's 46%.
And now let's look at Prop 112 right now, where I think a whole lot of people were thinking this was going to be a 50-50 race, but this looks like a pretty resounding no so far. 58% saying no, we do not want to change the setbacks. This would have changed the setbacks to 2,500 feet from homes and natural features, but there was a lot of concern raised, a lot of money thrown at this Proposition 112. So again, 58% to 42%.
All right, so the 6th district flips control now in the hands of the Democrats. The governor's office remains in the hands of the Democrats as well. We're just getting started here. We're getting into the meat of the night. So keep it here on ABC, and we're on our streaming platforms as well.
just got two big ones.
Nate, are we seeing anything? Is any of this flipping you yet?
It is, yeah. No, we are seeing now a more equivocal set of districts where you are seeing some tough races called for Democrats. For example, Kansas 3 in the KC suburbs, in Virginia. So we're seeing the numbers tick back up where we most
statewide office and been successful. And even though the results are not what we wish tonight, I love her now more than ever. I also want to thank my 3 kids who are here, my son Craig, my daughters Coco and Olivia. They're going to get to see a little bit more of their dad over the next couple of months and years ahead. I want to thank my running mate, Lang Sias, a great American, a great patriot, a great elected representative for the state of Colorado, 30 years in the U.S. Navy, 12 years as a Top Gun pilot. And I have deep, deep respect for Lang, and I could not be prouder of the opportunity to run alongside him. I want to thank the best campaign team ever, my campaign manager, Michael Fortney, who is a lifelong friend, Hillary, Lizzie, Jay, Jared, Jalen, Kevin, Gigi, and Arthur. Thank you so much for giving selflessly of your time. Most importantly, thank you. Most importantly, thank you to the people of Colorado for your support. Once again, Coloradans have proven democracy works. And though we came up short tonight, our fight and the ideas we advanced during the course of this campaign were worth it. I have spoken to Congressman Polis and congratulated him on his victory tonight. Though this has been a tough campaign, now is the time for all of us to come together as Coloradans. I've always said on this campaign that the 2 most important titles I will ever have in my life is as husband and a father to these 3 amazing children. When I announced my run for governor in September, I said this campaign was about them. It was about the future of Colorado, not just for them, but for all of our kids, for future generations in this state. That was my motivating factor to run, and it continues to be my driving factor today. During my time as treasurer, I've been proud to work in a bipartisan manner, in a Colorado collaborative manner, on sweeping debt consolidation that increased the transparency and accountability of many of our state agencies, on setting up the first land trust investment board ever for more money to go to K-12 education, and defeating a state-run healthcare system alongside Governor Bill Ritter. I have fought every day for the people of Colorado, and that will never change. I will keep fighting and serving our great state because we must have better roads and infrastructure. We must protect our energy industry and the jobs that it brings. We must have better schools, and we must have better health care. And we must have affordable housing for all Coloradans. This state belongs to the single moms who are struggling to make ends meet and raise their kids. It belongs to the entrepreneurs who are just starting out and launching their new businesses. It belongs to our children who hope that the future is just as bright for them as it was for us. It belongs to all of our veterans who pray their country will take care of them in their time of need, just as they care for us in ours. It belongs to every senior citizen who worked by the sweat of their brow for a future of hope. It does not belong to any politician, and every one of us should remember that. I want to speak very quickly to the young people. Public service is a noble calling. Well-intentioned people can still do great good for the state of Colorado and for our nation. And I believe in my heart and in my soul that any definition of a successful life at some point must include service to others. I will always be grateful for the wonderful opportunities that Colorado has afforded and continues to afford me. I have been blessed by this state, and I am grateful to every single one of you who has supported me through the years and in this campaign. I love Colorado, and I will continue to serve Colorado and causes greater than ourselves that bring us closer together as Coloradans. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless Colorado. Thank you.
Walker Stapleton there giving his concession speech just about an hour since the polls closed. A very gracious concession speech talking about how he loves the state of Colorado.
And it is surprising, I think, now that tone that he hit. We haven't heard that in national politics in a couple of years, so that was refreshing to hear.
And
right
certainly,
there.
I think that is the key to this election year, is it not? As we bring in Amy Stevens, Crisanta Duran, that people are looking for some reconciliation here, perhaps? Is that the right word?
I think that's right. I want to start by thanking Walker Stapleton and also Congressman Kaufman for their service to our great state. And as we move forward, regardless of what the results are tonight, we need to restore civility. It has been very unfortunate and quite frankly disturbing to see some of the threats that are happening in public discourse. And regardless of whether you're a Republican or Democrat, we need people who are going to be problem solvers. But I also think that the reason why it has become so challenging, some of the divisive language, is because it starts at the top. And Donald Trump has been a president that has mocked people from different races, religions, people with disabilities. I think he has been the most divisive president that we have seen in quite some time. And what we are seeing in the results tonight is that Colorado is an inclusive state. We are electing our first gay governor. Tonight, it was likely that soon-to-be Congressman Joe Neguse will be our first African-American congressman in the state. We are going to have most likely a record number of Latinos and Latinas that are going to be elected to the state House and the Senate. And I think we're sending a very clear message that we believe in not just tolerance, but celebrating people's differences.
And to that point, bringing in Amy Stevens, our Republican analyst for tonight, we saw, especially in the primary, Walker Stapleton ran very close, very tight with Donald Trump. In the general, he's certainly retained Trump's endorsement, but he wasn't quite so overt with his embrace of the president.
I think if you were going to see Walker run close to Donald Trump would have been out here. Actually, Walker didn't. I think this is about Walker's campaign in and of itself, which I personally do not believe was a strong campaign. And I think Polis ran a very strong campaign.
Let me interrupt you because we're going to go out to Mike Kaufman right now, who is giving his concession speech.
In 2011, in an effort to flip the seat from Republican to Democrat, the Colorado Democrat Party targeted this district and won a redistricting court fight that dramatically changed it from an area that the late Senator John McCain carried by 8 points in 2008 in the 2008 presidential election to one that former President Barack Obama carried by 8 points in that same election. The boundary shifted north into Aurora and Adams County, into some of the most diverse communities in Colorado, with 20% of the residents of the redrawn congressional district being born outside of the United States. Those who have obtained their citizenship are overwhelmingly registered as Democrats because they believe that Republicans aren't simply against illegal immigration, but they are against immigrants. I embraced and cherished the diversity of this new district, and I have worked hard to become a part of their communities. I've learned so much from my time with the Hispanic, African, and immigrant and Asian immigrant communities. My experience in listening to them and understanding their respective cultures and challenges in achieving the American dream has not only made me an effective congressman, but it has made me a better person. I knew this was going to be a tough race. Whenever a new president takes office, the party that has the White House historically pays a political price in that first midterm election. I knew that my only hope of winning was to localize the race as a referendum on my leadership, and that if the race was nationalized as a referendum on the president, that I simply could not win this race. In this congressional district, in this race, it was a referendum on the president. In the end, the waves were too big for this ship of ours to stay afloat. We've shocked the political world in the last 3 elections, but tonight it wasn't to be. But even when Washington power brokers walked away from our race, you didn't quit, I didn't quit, we didn't quit. I'm a Marine. You are proud Americans. And this great country is something we will all keep fighting for again and again and again. I want to commend my opponent on his victory. My congratulations to United States Representative-elect Jason Crow and his family on their election victory tonight, and to the people of the 6th Congressional District who allowed me to serve them in the Congress for the last 10 years. As Americans, it is our duty to root for his success. We are all in this together. We pray that God would grant Jason wisdom in all that he does. As for you and me, let's go forward in the knowledge that we are a blessed people, fortunate beyond belief to call this great nation of ours home. Serving this country has been the greatest honor of my life. I'm indebted to the people of Colorado for giving me the opportunity to serve them. God bless all of you tonight, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
And Mike Kaufman's long congressional career comes to an end with his concession speech. Very nice speech once again from both Walker Stapleton and now Mike Kaufman, saying farewell and good luck to the
ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome George Rockler.
Has been turning bluer and bluer over the years. So, really, is this a surprise that Mike Kaufman did not retain his seat?
Well, I stand next to what I said at the beginning of the night, and that is that if you are a Republican in Washington, D.C., and you do not bring forward Colorado values, and you do not stand up to Trump, there is a real issue with that. And Representative Kaufman, very appreciative for the work that he has done, but to see somebody like Jason Crow, who has never even run for office before, it also shows that a lot of Coloradans are ready for the next generation of leadership. He has served his country honorably, will be very inclusive, and I look forward to seeing what Jason achieves for the state of Colorado and for that district.
So, Amy Stevens, our Republican analyst tonight, you have been a couple of times this evening, you have said, try not to make this about Trump either way. As we watch Jared Polis, you know what, let's go ahead and take this.
Let's listen in, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible night. Moments ago, Walker Stapleton called and congratulated me on becoming the next governor of Colorado. Tonight, we reaffirm what an amazing state that we live in. In Colorado, we dream, we dare, and we do, whether it's embracing big ideas or hiking our amazing mountains. We don't back down when something is challenging. We see problems as opportunities in our state of Colorado. As your governor, I want to serve to protect our Colorado way of life in my heart and in my mind, and I pledge to serve all Coloradans, no matter your party, no matter where you live, no matter your race, or no matter your gender. We are all in this together. Now, I have to say, we are fortunate in Colorado to inherit a legacy of growth, success, and problem solving from our amazing governor, John Hickenlooper. And I also want to take a moment to thank Walker Stapleton for his 8 years of service to our state and for giving his precious time to add to the discussion and the dialogue about ideas to make our state even better. Thank you, Walker. You know what? Together, Diane and I are going to work every day to build an economy where Coloradans from all walks of life aren't just getting by, but can thrive here in our great state. We want to make sure every child, regardless of the zip code they grow up in, has a great education, beginning with full-day kindergarten. Today, I talked with Republican Representative Jim Wilson of Salida to discuss the first stages of putting in place bipartisan support for full-day kindergarten for every child in Colorado. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge where we are and how we got here. You know, tonight, right here in Colorado, we proved that no barrier should stand in the way of pursuing our dreams. We proved that we're an inclusive state that values every contribution, regardless of someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. And for the LGBTQ pioneers for equality and the generations before me who endured so much hardship and hurt to make it possible for so many of us, myself included, to live and to love openly and proudly. And to the people right here in this room, I want to say I'm profoundly grateful for all of the work we've done to overcome. Thank you. For my great-grandparents who came to this country penniless, fleeing persecution as Jews in Eastern Europe, and managed to forge an amazing American way of life for their kids and grandchildren to survive. We are still that country providing opportunity for the next generation and the next generation. You know, I am so proud to be here with Diane Primavera, who is a fighter for the right reasons. And we will partner with Diane Primavera and all of you to save Coloradans, individuals, and small businesses money on health care, and we won't give up until no Coloradan has to worry about choosing between their life and their home. And you know what? We're going to do this all together as a team. From the western slope to the eastern plains to southern Colorado to the Front Range, Republicans, independents, Democrats, Greens, Libertarians, and those Coloradans who chose not even to vote. Because you know what? All too often in campaigns, people see it falsely as a zero-sum game. Us versus them. One wins, the other loses. But you know what? For this transition, and as we move into governing, we're going to show that we can all win together. I want us all to win, and tonight is the beginning of that incredible journey for our state. And I want to thank our amazing, my personal support network. First and foremost, of course, my amazing partner and the first man in the history of Colorado, Marlon Reese. I also want to thank my amazing parents, Susan Pola Schutz and Stephen Schutz, my great kids, my cousins, my friends, and most of all our volunteers, whether it's Andy in Lakewood, who work tireless shifts and hours, Carla in Arapahoe County, and so many others, over 4,000 volunteers across this state. Give yourselves a round of applause. And of course, pulling it all together, our campaign chair and our campaign manager, Lisa Kaufman and Jen Ritter. I want to thank my constituents in Colorado's amazing 2nd Congressional District in Northern Colorado. And congratulations, Northern Colorado and the Mountain Country, on electing a terrific new Congressman, Joe Neguse. And thank you all for showing that Colorado voters believe in unity and believe that we're all in this together. Families that have been in our state for thousands of years as part of our Native American tradition, to people who arrived as Spanish settlers 500 years ago, to people who arrived a month ago from Mexico or from China. You are all part of our great state. And you know what? Tonight we celebrate, and tomorrow we roll up our sleeves and get ready to work with Republicans, Independents, Democrats, and all Coloradans of goodwill, because at the end of the day, we all believe in our children's future. We all believe in protecting our amazing parks and open space. We all believe in saving people money on health care. And together, we're going to get back to work because we have work to do to turn a bold vision into reality here in our amazing state of Colorado. Thank you, and God bless Colorado.
Jared Polis, the governor-elect of Colorado, the first openly gay man to be elected governor in the U.S. So this is a historic night for Colorado, and how appropriate he was wearing a red tie as he talked about inclusiveness, right?
That's right. So I want to get back, if you're just joining us, Crisanta Duran, House Speaker, a Democrat, obviously in Colorado, Amy Stevens, our Republican analyst for tonight. Before that speech, we started to get in a couple times, Amy, you have defended the fact that this is not a Trump referendum, at least here in Colorado. You stick by that in the governor's race?
I think the governor's race was its own animal. I think Polis, when you come in as a billionaire with the $28 million that he had to spend and then some, I don't even think that's an issue. However, I've been very interested to hear, because I've lived through in the state legislature the governorship, the House, and the Senate in the hands of Democrats. And then you had 2 recalled. And because why? Because there was no inclusiveness, because there was only divisive issues, because they went way overboard. And so my caution would be, in a sweep such as this,
which we're not officially there in the Senate.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're going to be. And I think that I would caution very greatly, dividing by if you're Latino, if you're African American. No, we're all American. And so I think that what we run the risk of is more divisiveness. And I also think it's messaging. I cannot say enough about the independents that voted tonight and where they're going to go.
And he does have a wish list, Crisanta, that some people thought was outrageous, Jared Polis.
Well, I think that he has ran a campaign with bold and new ideas. I look forward to seeing all that he will accomplish for the state of Colorado. I think he understands small business. He also understands so many of the economic issues that face our state. You know, Colorado, we have a wonderful economy here, but we also have to make sure that we have an economy that works for everyone and not just those at the very, very top. And if there is an effort to promote entrepreneurism, workforce development, a lot of good work started under Governor Hickenlooper's administration and the legislative packages that we've been able to get through in the last several years. And as Colorado's economy continues to change, we need to make sure that there are tools for people to be able to succeed. And I think that Governor Jared Polis is going to lead us in the right direction.
All right, Speaker Duran, we'll go up to Jason Crow, victorious in the 6th Congressional District. First time he's run for office. He is an attorney. He is a military veteran. He spent more than $5 million on this campaign, and that apparently was the magic number, enough to defeat the incumbent Mike Kaufman. So we're going to listen to his victory speech, and after that we'll continue our discussion with our 2 very bright and very charming analysts tonight, which we're having a great time. We appreciate you watching this evening.
So that is Jason Crow there on stage with his wife and his 2 children, who you've seen in the commercials here throughout these last couple of weeks, where they've spent boatloads of money, as we said, $5 million. And he is victorious tonight, pretty easily unseating Mike Kaufman for the 6th Congressional District. And that was something that Democrats have been working hard to try and get that seat. And so here is now Jason Crow.
Is this working? it. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. 574 days ago, in the early morning hours, I filed my paperwork as a candidate for Colorado's 6th Congressional District. And tonight, I am humbled to stand before you as the congressman-elect for this district. We set out with a goal to bring new leadership to the country and move us forward again. It was a bold idea for someone who had never run for office before, but today we got it done. I want to start by thanking those who made this possible, because this was truly a team effort. First, a special thank you to the incredible staff of Team Crow. Our committed, hardworking, and patriotic group inspired me on a daily basis, and I couldn't be more proud of this team. And thank you to the thousands of volunteers who made this victory possible. If you knocked on doors, called neighbors, or wrote postcards, then you were a part of the biggest grassroots campaign this district has ever seen. We knew from day one that if Coloradans heard our story, if they knew our vision for moving us forward, then we could win. But it took our grit and determination to do it. You stood up and fought for your families. You fought for your neighbors and those who needed a champion, and I'm honored to stand with you. Tonight, you sent a message that democracy is alive and well in America, and that you will not be silenced. I want to thank Mike Kaufman for a spirited and hard-fought campaign. We have had our differences, but he's a hard worker, and he has served his country honorably. To be very clear, Mike Kaufman and his supporters are not our enemies. This is politics, not war. And I will never stop trying to find common ground where I can. I wish him all the best going forward. We are lucky to have family and friends who have rallied around us. I want to thank our village, who helped make this happen and helped our family in countless ways. From babysitters to dinners to taking our kids to practices, everything you did kept us going, and I cannot thank you enough. And I want to thank the toughest and most dedicated people on this campaign, Anderson and Josephine Crow. They are the reason we ran this race. This campaign was not easy, but one look at them was all it took to fight harder. Anderson, Josephine, and every child in America deserves nothing less than the very best of our efforts to hand off a country that is worthy of them. Tonight is for all of them, and tomorrow will be too. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Des. You were this campaign's heart and soul. You were this campaign's heart and soul, but you were also somehow more than that. You are our best spokeswoman. You did a million things, large and small, to make this campaign what it is. Everything I do in my life will begin and end with you. I love you so much. Thank you for walking every step of this journey with me.